Who is it? Who is it?
I
Who
mean,
is it?
the,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another TV review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with all the content that we release on this channel each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. I've got an eye as a thinking machine, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm I'm Phil of the Hidden Hand, Corwin.
Oh, nothing like a hidden hand comes very much so in handy, so I've been told. Anywho, we are here today to review.
Moving on.
Moving right on, we are here today to review none other than the season finale, episode 6 of the HBO original Dune Prophecy. Here we are. We made it. I'm not even going to waste any time. The question is, did it deliver? And I'll kick it off by saying I think it did, with an asterisk on that. And I think the asterisk on that is that I think it delivered as best for what this show has given us so far. I think that I think it's a decent show. It's a good show. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not interested because I am. And I am intrigued to see what happens next. And I've committed now. And so I'm going to be locked in for season 2 as well. We'll get onto that later. But I think it still very much so feels like Dune Light. It still feels like this doesn't have the level of intelligence and depth and layers that obviously, Denis Villeneuve's movies had. Not to say that it's fair to compare, but sometimes I can't help but compare. There is a stark difference there for me. Um, so did it deliver? I personally think, yes, as I said, with that asterisk on there. Before we go into the nitty gritty, did it deliver for you?
It's difficult because I was thinking of, when you go to a restaurant, you get a three-course meal, and the first course is a salad with like bugs in it, and the second course is a plate of pasta with like little pubic hair in there, and you go, ugh. And then you get a dessert, and the dessert is okay. And you go, at least it doesn't have bugs and pubic hair in it. So I guess it's good. That's kind of how it felt. Like it wasn't bad, but it was like not great either. Like what I expected from this show. I don't know if I want to because basically I read the novel since we started this watching this. I don't know if we want to get into that now, like a quick
Let it rip.
comparison. If you haven't read the novel yet, if you don't want this spoiled, put like probably put a time code at the bottom, like in the description, if you want to skip ahead. But yeah,
Don't skip ahead.
uh, but there's a lot like in the books. The book is like absolutely fascinating for what it like the kind of story it tells. Um, because you basically open it's after the war, like 80 years after the wars in this, I guess, but there's still kind of thinking machines or computers around. So it opens with this guy going around basically destroying the remnants of the machines, and like he's very fanatic about Larian. And then immediately you go to someone who actually has still a connection with a thinking machine, and like the tension, the stakes are a lot higher, because all the factions, like in the show, the Sisterhood is using a thinking machine as well, for their record keeping. So there's a sense of if we get caught, we die. So that's a high stakes scenario. But there's also like little things, like Vorian Atreides is an actual character. Like there's a lot of so you can feel the hatred Valya has for him, and that she actually does something for it, or about it, sending her brother off to find Vorian and kill him. But the biggest thing is there are still thinking machines. And I read this and it was fascinating. The main conflict is, are thinking machines still good? Do they have a purpose that can help mankind? And reading that and seeing where we are right now and, AI and everything made me think, like, why didn't they tell that story?
Mm.
Why, like, what they did, what they gave us instead, compared to what they could have given us if they'd actually adapted this bloody story, would have been so much more interesting, especially right now. And there it ends. Um, so yeah, I wanted more from this whole show, and I wanted more from this episode, I think. While it did a couple of things right, it was a lot more movement, I guess, a lot more meat on the bone as well. I wanted more, like, just first of all, not in the last minute. But yeah, just a different conflict and more movement overall. That was a lot. Sorry.
It's interesting that you said that, because that then leads me on to what did still catch my intrigue about this episode. The first thing is that we are now having this almost in my mind, I see it as a civil war amongst the sisterhood, but it kind of really isn't. It's pretty much the sisterhood is just on a different course, and there's a few of them who aren't. Obviously, with Sister Dorothea embodying Lila and making the reveal that to the rest of the sisters what actually happened. We see the flashback in this episode that Valya and the rest of them, killed the rest of the sisters as a way to kind of keep hush hush about what happened and have things go their way. This is interesting to me. I'm very intrigued as we move on into season 2, if they do build this, like you have Valya with Nez and Kieran on Arrakis and what's going on there, and then you focus still on the sisterhood back on their home planet. And it would be nice eventually to see how that then materializes if it does indeed become like a civil war, like these two different factions, and what, as a result, if that makes the sisterhood a bit more interesting. The only thing at the moment, I think, why that doesn't feel very impactful right now is because we literally, out of all the sisters that are there with Lila or Dorothea, those two names can intertwine right now. We don't know any of them. Like, they come across, as of right now, just like a bunch of extras. And so you don't really feel the impact. Like when Lila is revealing to all of the sisters, the remains of the fallen sisters, you don't kind of really get that sense of, oh, I can't believe they're seeing this right now. Like the reveal is happening, because you don't know any of them. Like it doesn't really feel like it's that impactful. But I hope that as we move along into season 2, that maybe we get a bit more on that. I want to get your thoughts on that, but I want to quickly mention the second thing, which is dear old Javicco. He kicked the bucket, which is a real shame. Because one of the highlights of this episode for me was Mark Strong's performance, and I am going to miss him in this show. I did think he was really good. I loved his line of dialogue, before he obviously put the knife in his gut by saying, he realized, this is the moment he's realized that he's not had one single moment of freedom. That was a nice line. I think the way that he delivered it was really nice. And the fact that now Natalya seems like, I suppose, her and Desmond are still going to be running as Emperor and Empress, I suppose. But also, again, similar to how I felt with the sisterhood stuff, like Natalya, we barely really spent any time with her. And so, like, the idea of now her being potentially Empress is kind of just like, we kind of need to, I think, see a bit more of her. But before we continue, what's your thoughts on those?
You're right. We don't know any of the other sisters. We don't know who's got what, like, let's say, power here. So there are no stakes. Really, Lila is the only one who could actually maybe do something. So I'm curious, like, what her role is going forward. But again, it wasn't enough at that point, and it still felt like a bit of a last minute setup for season 2, basically. While I wanted more in this season. With Javicco, it was an interesting end for him. I'm curious, like, because Javicco is dead, but there's still Constantine, his son, is still somewhere around. So maybe he becomes the next emperor, because he's, I guess, the heir now. But yeah, I'm kind of not really caring, I guess, because it's like
Mm,
they haven't given us a reason to care about who takes over. It's just
yeah,
a lot of nothing right now, I feel. And that yeah, that's kind of what the whole show was for me. I think that there was a lot of we want this to happen, but we're not going to do anything about it.
yeah.
Like Valya wants, I guess, revenge for Griffin's death, and like, but she doesn't go looking for Vorian Atreides. She wants the Harkonnens to be respected again, but she doesn't do anything about it. She wants a leader in there, and like I recently read like the synopsis again, and it says like they want to put a sister on the throne,
Yeah.
which I completely forgot that that was a goal. I thought they
I
wanted
mean,
to
they did
get
mention it
her.
a bit this episode and last episode. 'Cause obviously,
Hmm.
Nez is that the goal with that is Nez. I think the whole point of Valia taking her to Arrakis is, and she does reference, that it's important that we protect her and obviously take her because she's going to be the one that we're going to foster to then obviously eventually take the throne. Yeah, I mean, but let's obviously talk about obviously the main confrontation of this episode. Obviously, Valia meets Tula, meets Desmond in some, some, I don't know, some shit bunker place. And they have, I mean, because you speaking about, what was going on in the book there between Valia and Griffin and how she feels about that. I mean, it's tough because I suppose you can't, it's not like a sister like Valia is going to, get into a sword fight with Desmond and it's going to be as, breathtaking and gripping as, seeing, Fade Rotha and Paul back in Dune Part Two. But I mean, this was lame though, man. This was so lame. I mean, seeing young Valia on the ice and Tula whispering sweet nothings to her in her ear to get her to come around. I mean, it just didn't. I just don't think it worked. But I still felt something. It was still very tense, but I think because of the moments leading up to that.
Mm.
But I think, yeah, it kind of just fell on deaf ears a little bit. I think, however, the real big interesting thing is obviously what Valia sees. And she ultimately, obviously sees not only how Desmond, his good old eye had a little adjustment, a little upgrade, but obviously we get our first look and confirmation that there is indeed someone else on Arrakis that is pulling the strings and that does have some kind of vendetta against the Sisterhood. And that's where the intrigue is. And that's where all
Yeah.
the speculation is going to be. Who is it? Who is it?
I
Who
mean,
is it?
I've got an answer. Is it Vorian Atreides? Because it spoiler for the book again. In the book, he does go to Arrakis, so he is there, and they have mentioned him. I'm a little bit upset that they like Vorian Atreides doesn't actually appear in this show so far.
Mm.
I don't know if he makes an appearance in season two, but because they mention him and he is such a big character in the books or in Dune lore, like where is he?
I think it has to be him though, right? Like I think that
Ideally.
I know nothing about the character besides a little few bits I've read online and but I think that he has to be one of the front runners at the moment. As you said, he's been mentioned throughout the series. He has an immediate connection to Valia because he's the one, presumably, as we are led to believe, murdered Griffin. He's on Arrakis. And I don't think that it's necessarily coincidence that Kieran Atreides obviously happens to be now in their company also.
Hmm.
And so I think there's a link there. I think, I don't know, there could be other characters that I'm not privy to because I'm not as deep into the lore, but I feel like Vorian is the front runner at the moment. And I'm intrigued to see whoever it is, who they cast, what the character is, what this means if we're going to now see more thinking machines on Arrakis. Because one of the things that immediately came to my mind when they landed on Arrakis is, please, Denise, just come back. Please come back and give us Dune Part 3 immediately. Because it kind of gave me those Star Wars vibes where it's like, how many times, do we have to go back to, what's the desert planet called there in Star Wars?
Oh shit.
Um,
Tatooine.
Tatooine, yeah, you know, like it felt like that. It felt like okay. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
like, listen, I appreciate Arrakis, but that's Denise playground, okay?
No.
That's not that doesn't belong to you guys, and I don't want to see your shoddy CW work done on Arrakis here when Denise is doing such masterful work. However, what I am intrigued to see is once again the lore. Obviously, what you've mentioned with the book and what we've seen here in the
Oof,
show,
so much
what
fun.
lore they're able to bring into this version of Arrakis, i.e., the thinking machines.
Mm.
That's my hope for season two, to expand the lore and just make things very interesting. And I feel like they have set the stage to hopefully do that. That's my hope. What say you?
It's as you were talking, I was thinking like they haven't really given us much to speculate. Unless we missed, unless we completely, or I completely missed the hints of what could be happening going forward. Um, but I feel like they didn't really set up or give us enough to go, oh, maybe that's this person, or maybe that's this person. Right now, we're just guessing, and we could be completely wrong. So I guess that's also why I'm not as excited about season two, because I don't know what to be excited about. Um, so it's hard to say what's coming, to be honest. It could be
Yeah.
anything. It could be thinking machines. It could be, a completely different. Because, like, again, spoiler for the book. Um, I'm going to be saying that a lot today. Like, basically, none of these characters exist in the book, or like every single character is different in the books. So, in the book, so they could just create a completely different new character and say, yeah, this is the guy now, who's doing this or who has done this to Desmond, and he's
Mm.
the big bad now. Or they could go with a character that already exists, but have him completely different. I don't know. And I hate that I don't know because you need to give me something.
Well, once again, Denise, hurry up. Just hurry up. But anything else you want to add finally before we go to our episode review score here, and then our season review score here?
No, I want to be done with this.
Oh man, I mean, well, let's start off obviously by giving our IC review score out of 10 for this episode. I'll go first. I'm gonna go with 7 ICs out of 10. And it's a bit higher. Once again, it's still with that asterisk. I'm a bit biased. I think because with what we've got of this show so far, I think that it was as good as the season finale as I could have probably hoped for. Still with some flaws, but they still caught my intrigue. And so, with the confines of this show, I'm gonna give this episode 7 ICs out of 10. What say you?
I go one below. Like I'm gonna be very kind. I think I'm gonna give it 6 ICs out of 10. Simply because this episode did do a lot more suddenly. There was a lot more tension, a lot more things moving around, a lot more people planning and actually acting on those plans. So that was actually fun to watch, which I didn't think I would say, but it's definitely much too late. And it was already sour, so I couldn't enjoy it as much as maybe other people would have enjoyed it. So yeah, 6 out of 10 ICs from me.
Well, damn. And so then we move on, obviously, to our IC review score out of 10 for the entire season one of Dune Prophecy. And I am
Big.
going to be much more harsher on this. I am going to go with 6.5 ICs out of 10.
That is harsher.
I think
How
so.
is
You know,
that?
I think I'm going to go with 6.5 ICs out of 10 for this entire season. I think it's decent. Okay. And I think that the six for me is decent. It's decent. It has some good moments, but it's decent. You know, that's where I'm at. I think if you're a fan of Dune and the movies, go for it. Ultimately, yeah, the potential wasn't there. So I'm going for 6.5 ICs out of 10 for my season one review. What say you?
I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna go for this for the whole season. I'm gonna go 4 ICs out of 10. So this is gonna be a very moldy IC for me, and for the whole show. Because one, It's hard to say because if I say like, why didn't they adapt the book directly? Like, do all this thing about whether thinking machines are good or bad. It sounds like I just want a different story, but that's more. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
You want
Because
a
that's
different
the more
story.
interesting. Yes, I do want a different story, but as an adaptation, it fails completely. I would say as an adaptation, I would give it even lower. But as its own story, I don't think it's that great because it doesn't do anything instead of the actual story. It doesn't give us much conflict. It doesn't give us much. The characters much to do um, with like following their goals or having goals or doing anything. Because like, what happened in this? I'm going back to the review actually. So yeah, stop here. I'm done. Let's get this over with.
So
For 10 ICs for this whole thing.
well, that will do it there for our review of not only episode 6, the season finale of Dune Prophecy, but the entire season 1 of Dune Prophecy. And we will be back for season 2, kicking and screaming, but we will indeed be back. Once
If I
again,
don't put my blade to my throat
oh, I mean,
and end it like Sister Dorothea, who probably saw this coming.
yeah, I think so. I think so. And she decided it was her time. But that will do it once again for our review of Dune Prophecy episode 6 and the entire season 1 in general. Once again, we are No Drama Just Movies. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like this video. If you like our content here on this channel, please like, comment, share. Drop down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on this episode and season as a whole. We also had our review for Craven that we released a few days ago and our trailer reaction for James Gunn's Superman, Somebody Called Crypto, because it's a great one. That's right. Once again, oh, whistle, boy, whistle. Once again, my name is Cameron. I've got a thinking machine for an eye, Kelly Smith. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
You look like a pirate. I'm Phil of the Hidden Hand Corwin.
Oh, that's right. R is correct. And don't forget, boys and girls, don't use your hidden hand for anything bad because they'll get you. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Thank you very much for checking out our review today, guys, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.
Bye.